Hi, I'm Dr. Taryn Forelli, Director of Medical Education for New Chapter, and I'm here with Paul Schulich, founder and formulator for New Chapter, and Dr. Bob Newman, Chief Science Officer. Today we're talking about bone strength and two formulas that New Chapter offers that help to support healthy bone strength. That's Bone Strength Take Care and New Chapter's best-selling formula, Zyflamend. First thing I think we want to talk about are some misconceptions about bone health. One of the most fascinating things about the human skeleton is that it's constantly being remodeled, broken down, and built back up every single day. In fact, it's been said that the body creates the equivalent of an entire new skeleton every 7 years, which means we all have an opportunity to improve our bone strength by changing the factors that influence it, like our diet and our lifestyle. Bone strength is a concern for everyone. In fact, nearly 1/3 of hip fractures occur in men. Also, people are becoming more physically active these days, which is a great thing, but maintaining your bone strength is going to be really important for preventing injuries. So Paul, tell us a little bit about your approach to supporting bone health nutritionally.
Most people think when they take a calcium supplement, simply by taking calcium, they will be benefiting their bone. Now, that may be true, but there are many, many other factors that are involved in supporting bone health. We need to have adequate exercise, we have to have adequate sunlight, we need to manage our inflammatory process, and it's very possible that most people are missing out on one or more of those factors.
Most people know the importance of calcium in building strong, healthy bones. And since they're not getting enough calcium in their diets, they logically use calcium supplements to make up the difference. Now, the question is, are those calcium supplements enough? And I do not hesitate to say that they aren't, because if they were, the problem would cease to exist. Now, I think there's a few explanations for why it's not enough. Number one is the form of calcium that most people are using.
Most likely what they're getting is this. This is chalk.
Yeah.
It's calcium carbonate.
Calcium carbonate is basically rocks or limestone, and it's not a food, it's not a form of calcium that our bodies are accustomed to receiving. It's notoriously difficult to absorb, and number two, it's also a single molecule. And bones are not made up of simply calcium. They're a living tissue, and the ability to actually utilize calcium in that living tissue is dependent on other nutrient factors.
The most important factor behind Bone Strength Take Care is its food, and that is something which separates it from virtually every other formulation that is on the market. I think most people intuitively recognize that when nutrients are in the form of food, they will be better for us. Now, if you were to see nutrients in their isolated form, you would say, well, how is that possibly going to build my bone? And that is exactly the same type of common sense approach that I had when I created Bone Strength Take Care. I didn't think that people needed more isolated calcium in the form of limestone or chalk, but rather what people needed was calcium in the complex form of food. In reality, I think that the way you are going to build bones is through a synergy, or even maybe a better word, a symphony of nutrients interacting with each other to go through what Bob was calling bone remodeling. That is the process that requires many, many nutrients, as you know, protein. And so in the creation of the supplement, I looked for the best food source that I could find of calcium, and then included other synergistic nutrients that were in the food source and additional nutrients that would assimilate the bone remodeling process.
Vitamin D, for instance, plays an essential role in the absorption of calcium. In fact, those who are deficient in vitamin D, and we know that nearly 2/3 of the population is deficient in vitamin D, will only absorb about half the amount of calcium that they would if they had sufficient quantities of vitamin D. And my understanding is that vitamin D is critical not only for the absorption of calcium, but also for the mineralization of bones. And it works very closely with things like vitamin K to allow the osteoblasts to actually deposit the calcium where it needs to be in the bone. You know, people tend to think that it's just calcium that they need to take, that their bones are only made of calcium. And I think if you show them the calcium and how brittle the chalk is, that's what happens to our bones if we only have the calcium, is they become brittle because they don't have the foundation, which to create a strong, healthy foundation, you need things like trace minerals like strontium and boron, vanadium, and you need vitamin K.
The vitamin K that I found for Bone Strength Take Care is in a unique form which makes sure that the calcium goes into the bone and doesn't stay in the cardiovascular system or in the joints or in the kidneys where it can cause a havoc. So Bone Strength Take Care is a very effective formulation at making sure that we channel calcium from our diet in the form of food, in the form of this particular supplement, and into the bone where it needs to go.
Another thing I wanted to talk about are factors that contribute to a loss of bone density outside of just nutrition. And one of the big factors that I think is often overlooked is inflammation. Inflammation can affect the health of every system in the body. So it's not surprising that it could have potential adverse effects on the skeleton as well.
We now understand that inflammation and normal bone health are intimately related, in that inflammation will drive an adverse remodeling. So it's really insufficient just to provide the necessary biochemical tools to rebuild bone. We now need to control inflammation to allow normal bone remodeling to occur. How do we do that? Again, New Chapter has a wonderful product, Zyflamin, with years of experience, that is a multifaceted, multi-herb, multifunctional approach to control of inflammation.
What I would suggest today, for example, is that we look at herbs like turmeric and ginger and green tea and rosemary, and those herbs are really valuable for balancing or promoting a healthy inflammation response.
The use of Zyflamin then, together with Bone Strength Take Care, makes perfect sense. Again, not just for women, but also for men as well, and anyone who undergoes normal bone restructuring, which is all of us.